Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. It's hosted by myself, Nick Millward, from the Mobile Ecosystem Forum on behalf of LANCK Telecom today. Today, you'll be hearing about SMS versus the alternatives and how telcos can adapt to market demand. I'm delighted to have Oksana Mikhanova with me today from LANCK Telecom. And probably, Oksana, it's better if you introduce yourself a bit better than I. Do you want to just introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, hi Nick. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Oksana. I'm working for LANCK Telecom for 10 years. I started in messaging, sales part, then procurement part, and now I moved to products and services team in the company and I'm managing new products and helping our enterprises to bring them the value of the telecom.
Excellent. So, kind of roles I've done in the past, certainly from a product perspective, is very interesting position to be in the business in between the organization and customers. So I think this will be an interesting session. So the format generally today is that Oksana will present you with some market insights, and then Oksana and I will discuss some of these together, and then we'll open up for Q&A towards the end. So I would just say if you have any questions, you should see the Q&A section or the chat section within the Zoom application. So if you can please just drop any questions you've got in there as we're going through, and then we'll answer those at the end. And obviously, if we don't get to every question, or if we don't get to answer every question, we will follow up with that after the call. So I think now if I hand over to you, Oksana, and I'll just stop my screen so you can access that.
Thank you, Nick. I will share my screen and a small presentations about what we are talking now. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our workshop. We would like to talk about SMS and alternatives, how telco communication companies can adapt to enterprise demand for cost-efficient communication. It's a real pleasure to be here and to share with you some of the insights we've gathered at LANCK. Let me tell you a few words about us. For over 24 years, we have been providing voice messaging, anti-fraud, roaming, and eSIM services to more than 1.5 thousand partners worldwide. We've built products and solutions for operators, aggregators, service providers, platforms, call centers, calling apps, and enterprises. LANCK is really well known on the market. Today, I want to talk about one of the biggest changes shaping our industry. It's the migration of A2P SMS traffic into alternatives channels. Let me begin with a case from a very large global enterprise. In July 2025, our stats showed that about 25% of their authorization traffic was going through Telegram, another 10% through WhatsApp. On top of that, they were also using voice solutions like text-to-speech and pin-to-speech, and that traffic alone was growing by around 10% quarter over quarter. So in total, more than a third of their entire volume has already moved away from SMS. This is not just a small shift. For decades, SMS had no competition. It was universal on every phone, in every network, for every country. Operators could set high prices and enterprises would pay for it. But the environment has changed. There are three main reasons. Rising costs. On many exclusive or premium routes, prices are extremely high, Enterprises that send millions of one-time password or notifications see their budgets spiral. Just imagine the average cost for OTP is around 20 euro cents. Sending 1 million of them costs 200,000 euros. For a bank or an app, this is a major line item. Second, experience. SMS is not always reliable because of the fraud. Fraud is rampant, especially AIT, artificial inflation of traffic. In some regions, up to 40% of traffic is AIT. That means fake delivery, messages, distorted statistics, and enormous costs. In 2023 alone, enterprises lost 1.6 billion to AIT. Think about that. Wasted money on messages that never reached real customer. And third, better alternatives exist. Enterprises are no longer locked into SMS. Voice services, RCS, and messengers all provide cheaper, faster, or richer communication. So enterprises are voting with their budgets. They're moving away from SMS. So let's speak about these alternatives. I would like to start with voice because this is a surprised many people with its growth. The speeches from 20 years ago, like voice traffic is dying, it will never be high, all of this. And now volumes of voice traffic are growing, and this is because of OTP content. Voice authentication comes into two main flavors. Voice OTP, a call with duration, the code is read aloud, and the flash calling is a missed call where one-time code is in the last digits. Advantages of it, voice is cheaper than SMS in about 70% of destinations. It works where SMS doesn't, especially in markets with delivery delays. And AIT, of course. It's easy for users to understand once they are familiar with it. But it hasn't always been this way. In the early days, enterprises tried flash calls and voice OTP without preparing users. Customers would suddenly see a missed call or receive a call, hear a robotic voice reading numbers, and have no idea what to do with it. Conversion rates collapsed. Enterprises concluded that voice was a poor channel. What we know today is different. The problem was not the channel, it was the execution. With proper onboarding, clear messages, and modern technologies like pin-to-speech and text-to-speech, conversion rates are equal to SMS and sometimes even higher. Another issue is gray traffic. Flash calls are widely used in a gray zone with no monetization for operators. Enterprises don't like the uncertainty and operators lose revenues. This is where carriers like LANCK Telecom step in, helping operators separate gray from white traffic, bringing anti-fraud expertise to protect both sides, turning flash calls from a headache into a monetized channel. So would you rather ignore a channel and let revenue leak away or take control of it and turn it into a legitimate business? Now let's move to RCS, the second alternative. On paper, but only on paper, RCS is everything enterprises have been asking for. It's a rich media, verified sender IDs, chatbots. It's backed by Google and iOS now. Designed for high engagement, it sounds like the perfect evolution of SMS. But in practice, there are problems. Onboarding a single client can take up to 3 months. The process involves heavy manual checks and multiple levels of verification. Coverage is still limited, and the pricing is not much better than SMS. Let me compare. WhatsApp Business can onboard a client in 1 week with global reach and at 1/10 of the cost. Telegram, Viber, Zalo all offer similar advantages. So, if you are a global enterprise, which would you choose? 3 months of waiting with RCS or 1 week with WhatsApp? This is why RCS adoption remains small. Operators are cautious, they fear cannibalizing their SMS revenues. But while they hesitate, Meta has already captured much of the market. In my conclusion, RCS is a powerful technology. It has potential, but today it's more of a long term rather than a short term solution. Enterprises want results now, and OTT messengers are delivering those results. And that brings us to the real disruptors, OTT messenger. Let's look at the reality. People spend most of their digital life inside apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, Viber, or any other OTT. Enterprises naturally follow their customers. Benefits of these messengers are, first of all, costs, up to 10 times lower than SMS. Messengers can provide a global coverage, support for multimedia, chatbots, interactivity. Onboarding is fast, days, not months. But obviously, there are some challenges of OTT. It's a really low margin for an aggregator, for the reseller. Prices of messengers are public, so enterprises know what they should pay. Platform rivalry, Meta won't carry traffic for Telegram or Viber. Each platform protects its own ecosystem. And obviously, gray routing. Dishonest carriers sometimes reroute messages, creating security and reputational risks for enterprises. Like just a case in point, there was situations where WhatsApp OTP content traffic was rerouted via Telegram. Users were confused, enterprises were embarrassed, and reputations were damaged. Enterprises may save 90% on costs, but one security incident can cost far more than that. Still, despite these risks, enterprises are adopting OTT channels aggressively. They see that saving that flexibility and the reach. This is why OTT is not just an alternative, it's quickly becoming the default channel for many businesses. Let's also address the issue of expensive routes and exclusivity. For years, some operators built business models on premium high-cost SMS. They treated it as a golden goose. But here's the reality. Enterprises are no longer locked in. They know there are cheaper alternatives. If operators keep prices too high, enterprises will simply walk away. We already see this happening. Enterprises shift budgets to voice, to messengers, to multi-channel solutions. Every time they do, the operator loses not just revenue, but also relevance. Relying on expensive exclusivity is not sustainable. Let's look at the case of AIT. Here we see two funnels. On the left, a normal funnel, password requests, successful registration, and then paying customers. On the right, a funnel distorted by generated OTPs. At first glance, it looks like growth, more requests, more registration, but the reality is different. Conversion to paying customers drops almost by half, from 14% down to 8%. And what happens inside the enterprise company? Product and marketing teams start chasing the wrong issues. Is the app broken? Is something wrong with the customer journey or with acquisition? They dig into everything except fraud. That's how AIT confuses analytics and hides the real problem. OTP already causes over 1.6 billion in direct losses every year, just from inflated delivery expenses. And that's only the beginning. Companies face hidden costs as well. endless extra analytics, OTP delivery investigation, testing, checking user journey hypotheses, and checking acquisition hypotheses. And here's a scarce question. What if those bot-generated accounts were actually purchased as real users? In pay acquisition, one account can cost more than $100. Every fake user becomes a very financial loss. That's why enterprises don't want to use exclusive SMS providers in regions where the AIT is very popular. So what does all these changes mean for us, for the telecom industry in total? For operators, SMS revenue is shrinking. Fraud risks are still growing. The only way forward is to embrace multi-channel, not resist it. Legitimize and monetize channels like flash call. Partner with messengers instead of competing against them. For enterprise, it's a challenge. They need secure, cost-efficient communication. They want simplicity. One partner, multiple channels. They want transparency. No gray routes, no inflated costs, no AIT. And for carriers like us, like LANCK, our role is to connect those worlds, to give enterprises reliability and cost efficiency, to give operators new revenue streams and anti-fraud tools, and to make sure customers and users get the most trusted experience they expect. To sum up, communication demand is not shrinking. It's still growing faster than ever. But what is shrinking is tolerance for high costs, for fraud, and for bad experience. Enterprises are not abandoning SMS because they don't want to talk to customers. They're abandoning it because they now have better, cheaper, and safer options. Voice, RCS, OTT messengers. These are not experiments anymore. They are the mainstream. The future is multi-channel. SMS will remain in the mix, but it's no longer the star. It's just one instrument in the large orchestra. The winners in the new reality will be those who can adapt quickly, those who stop fighting the change and start monetizing it. At LANCK, we reach enterprises, operators, and carriers, turning their needs into new opportunities. Thank you for your time. My small presentation is done.
Thank you, Oksana. That was really interesting, but also a little bit alarming, right, with the change in the market. So I saw some statistics in the last week or so that one of the market research analysts are predicting that mobile messaging over the next 2 years should grow by around 90%. So it almost doubles over the next 2 years. But what they're predicting is that the growth of SMS, and this is globally, right? So there are regional differences, but globally, messaging is going to increase almost double, but SMS A to P messaging is only going to grow by around 5%. So there's a huge amount of messaging there that's going to be going somewhere else. And I think the expectation is that most of that will move towards WhatsApp and to Meta. So that, in terms of SMS, there is still growth from what we're seeing, but I think the growth is very much stalled. And I guess eventually, that the bell curve, the life cycle of a product, it will start potentially to come down the other side, which is a fairly natural cycle for most products. But what, in your experience, how do carriers combat this? So there is going to be a drop off. Everybody's predicting that. So what is it the operators do? Where do they find new revenues from, in your opinion?
First of all, there is a new revenue stream. It's RCS. I think that Operators don't need to be scared about this new channel. It's not the cannibalization of SMS traffic. It's just a new stream, new marketing budgets from enterprises. It will bring new traffic to the market. The possibility to send these interactive messages, it's a possibility to attract budgets from enterprises, mostly marketing budgets. So it's the first one. And the second one, you see that flash calling, it's already on the market, but it's in the gray zone of the market. When the enterprise starts sending these huge volumes of flash calling, they're just destroying the structure of the operator. It's a totally loses for the operator, this flash calling, but they can handle it. If the operator monetizes channel, the channel already exists. They just have to put the pricing on it and correct anti-fraud solution, of course. And users are ready for this flash calling. Applications are ready for these flash calls. Enterprises are ready for it. So you have two new, totally new streams of incoming of money for mobile operators.
Yeah. I think one of the things that was raised at some of the events that I attended recently, with the questions were raised about, how can operators potentially monetize OTT channels as well? So my understanding was a few years ago that Meta had approached a lot of the major carriers across the world, but the offer there was that they can act as a reseller of OTT or of WhatsApp for business messaging. So they get a kind of revenue share from that. And I don't think the carriers were interested in that. They wanted obviously something that was more in their control and something that they can resell properly themselves, which I guess is what RCS has given them. So there's almost become an RCS kind of camp, which is the carriers and Google and various other communities. And then very much you've got the CPaaS community somewhere in the middle, and I think perhaps LANCK Telecom, and then you have Meta on the other side. Do you ever see these two worlds coming together? Do they ever meet?
Why not? I know several mobile operators who are working with Meta who are selling WhatsApp business to their own enterprises. And obviously, they can control the traffic, the operator. They have enterprise customers, so they know the traffic. If they don't want to apply to RCS, they can apply to OTTs, to apply to WhatsApp. And it could also bring a new revenue to the mobile operator, but it will be, of course, lower than in SMS.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really tricky question. Meta is a competitor of mobile operators here, but they can work together. They can bring new traffic to mobile operators, bring new traffic to Meta, but we have a third side here, government regulations. It depends on the destination. Of course, there are some regions where WhatsApp is blocked. So their mobile operator can do what they want. They don't have competitors. And sincerely, Meta is not the unique competitor for OTTs, for OTT traffic with mobile operator. You can see that even email is used for authorization. Google ID is also used for a lot of applications. Apple ID is also used for authorization of users. So there are a lot of alternatives. It depends on how telco react. It depends on the pricing. First of all, there are a lot of enterprises when they see market grow, when the market price is growing, they just stop sending messages to this destination at all. They just cutting. They don't want to pay huge volume for these huge volumes to higher prices.
Mm. So I think SMS has got the challenge with pricing. It's got the challenge with potential fraud from things like smishing and also AIT, which is kind of what's putting enterprises off, and as you've presented there, it's pushing them towards other solutions. But how do the operators strike that right balance? Because obviously they are still very much, providing SMS services. And I think in some regions the prices are dropping to compete more with WhatsApp. So that if that continues, then it becomes more of a, which is the better customer experience and what's the better route for anti-fraud. So how do in your opinion, in your experience, how do the operators kind of balance that?
But you saw the new pricing model of Meta when they started in July. They dropped prices where WhatsApp business wasn't popular. Even if the mobile operator go down with their prices, Meta can compete with them. And Meta is attracting whole volumes they can see. It's it should be a synergy of the mobile operator and Meta. They should discuss it in between. They should discuss it in the telco industry, because if no, the market will be destroyed.
Yeah. So, in your experience so far, what are the biggest challenges that they face, and how do you think we can help the carrier community? I know you covered some of that in your presentation, but let's just maybe go a bit deeper on some of those topics. You mentioned kind of onboarding is a bit of a problem with RCS, for example. So how can we help? How can the industry help to kind of at least bring parity on some of those issues?
If we are talking about RCS, there is a good example in the market of Brazil. It was working very well. The conversion of RCS in Brazil, it was higher than in SMS. And there are huge volumes on this market. As first of all, so why? Yeah, as first of all, because of the full coverage of the country. Yeah. And all mobile operators decided to start RCS in Brazil, and they are doing it very well. The prices are higher than in SMS, but they attracted new volumes. They attracted new traffic. They attracted marketing traffic, and they conserved SMS traffic also. As for when a mobile operator wanted to start with RCS, I think that they should decide it inside the country, inside the destination. If just one mobile operator start with it, it will not work for the destination. They should decide it and be in synergy of all mobile operators of the market, of the region, and how to work with the product. They should decide the pricing model. They should decide on how they will implement it, who are their customers, if they will sell it to the local market or only to the international. It's always should be discussed, not only applied to the global market. Yeah, when the operator comes and tell that the price will be 50 cents and send us more traffic than you have, and also please prepay for it. Yeah, this doesn't work on the market already. The enterprise will not apply to these such things.
Mm.
Enterprise want something simple, something that will help him or will help them to engage with their customers, the end user.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be um, registering standards for months. Um, just make it simple for the client. It's the main point.
I think some of the topics that we've covered, various discussions in the industry, and I think the positioning to enterprises is maybe there's two very separate markets. There's one for authentication, which SMS I think still has a role in, potentially more as a fallback mechanism. Um, but then there's also the marketing side, which obviously though things like RCS being richer communications lends itself more to, we think, positioning itself compared to marketing channels. So that could be, I don't know, banner ads, it could be YouTube, it could be other social media marketing, and maybe that is the direction for RCS. I think RCS is seen as a successor to SMS because it offers that verification. But if the pricing kind of continues to increase, then it's gonna die a death quite quickly. And I think it'll be just there as a backup solution rather than this big kind of solution for mass market and high volume. So, I think, do you see that as well? Do you see that there is a bit of a separation that, you can talk about SMS in context of authentication, and then you can talk about RCS in context of marketing as well?
As for marketing RCS, it's like a unicorn. Yeah, RCS was developed for marketing, especially. And as for OTP, it's not the best channel to deliver OTPs.
Mm,
In my opinion, SMS will be always better. It's the fastest, but not the cheapest, of course. Yeah, it depends of the needs of the enterprise. What the enterprise needs. For OTP, from one side, they can send the SMS, they can send via WhatsApp, they can call their users. Yeah, and for marketing, obviously, RCS is the best opportunity. They
yeah,
have interaction, they have chatbots, whatever. But all of these things are already done in WhatsApp.
yeah,
Yeah, and WhatsApp is cheaper than RCS, and it's global. For RCS to connect one country, for the enterprise, you will spend, I don't know, 2 weeks is the best one. Yeah,
mm,
is the best timeline. Usually more. And for WhatsApp, connecting the sender ID to the platform, you have a global reach. It doesn't matter what destination your enterprise will send. You just connect it and just send. And for RCS, it's a challenge to make it. If RCS could evolutionate like SMS to having the full AZ list for the enterprise, that will be excellent.
mm.
Yeah.
I do think RCS needs its niche a little bit like SMS has found its niche. I mean, let's be honest, SMS is used for some marketing, but it's generally there for OTP and notifications. Those are the two use cases, really, and that's what drives billions of messages across the globe. And I haven't seen yet what the real niche for RCS is. There's another parallel we can draw to mobile billing, and that was in the media world that found its place where for online gaming mainly and those types of services. But I don't think we've yet seen the actual like killer use case for RCS yet. I think there are plenty of use cases out there, and there are some that are more popular than others. But yeah, I haven't kind of seen yet RCS find its place exactly. Um, Maybe we should just move on to some of the questions. So if I just start from the top, if there are any other questions, please just drop them in the chat as we're going through this. We have here, do you think operators are doing it enough to unlock the potential of RCS?
I think that operators are scared, and they are scared about cannibalizing SMS traffic because the revenue of A2P SMS it's really high for any mobile operator at the moment. And when they start RCS, they will see that some traffic will move from SMS to RCS, of course. And as I told before, I think that to start the RCS for one destination, it not should be only one operator. It should be with a full coverage of the country. And it should be simple and easy to connect for the enterprise without manual um, things. Yeah, you know.
Hmm. Well, one of the things that we're trying to drive as well from MEF perspective is to kind of get carriers together, and we do that in certain regions already, but get all the carriers together in that region to try and push a single agenda. And we are looking at a project at the moment, which is called the RCS First Strategy, which we're working on with Google. So we're looking at certain regions, certain countries, certain use cases where what we're trying to do is just to get the carriers to switch SMS off completely and move that traffic onto RCS.
It's not the best idea, in my opinion. SMS will still one of the main streams of the traffic. For OTP, it's one of the best channels. Yeah, and RCS was developed for another type of traffic, for marketing. With all these chatbots, with all these possibilities, with all interaction with the end user, RCS could be like a social media, internal social media for the enterprise and for interacting with their customer, but not using any application, just by using the message. They can interact with the end customer. It's a long-term future of SMS, but not OTP SMS for marketing only,
Yeah.
in my humble opinion.
Well, maybe it is specific to those use cases. Maybe it is that leave the OTP traffic to one side and let's focus on any marketing traffic via SMS, and that needs to migrate across potentially. I think another related question we've got to that is what level of migration are you currently seeing of enterprises moving spend out of SMS to WhatsApp OTT?
It was in my presentation on our statistics, our internal statistics, so obviously without names of global enterprises. 25% of the traffic was moved to Telegram and around 10% to WhatsApp. But obviously, it depends on the market. For Asia market, for example, it's WhatsApp will be always more popular. For Vietnam, it will be Zalo. For Middle East market, it will be Telegram or even Viber. For CIS countries, it depends. It could be Telegram, it could be WhatsApp, it could be Viber, depending on the specific destination. For Africa, for example, Telegram is very popular. For Latin countries, it's WhatsApp. Right? So it depends on the end user, what they are using for.
But what, so let's just say since the 1st of July, it doesn't matter which channel they've moved to, but let's just say that generally speaking, that enterprises are moving away from SMS. Like over the last 3 months or so, what kind of percentage would you give on that, generally speaking? Is it 5% across the globe?
35%, I think. It will
Sorry,
be around, it will be around 35%
wow.
from A to P to all messengers, the third part of total volumes.
Okay. So hopefully, Gavin, that answers the question. 35% moving away from SMS, which is pretty
It's
staggering, really.
to messengers only, and you have other solutions like voice, text to speech, into
Yeah.
speech. You know, a lot of applications, a lot of enterprises are using this channel as the first one to to engage with the end user, to authenticate the end user. You can check it when you download an application. You will see just choose their
Do
type of
you,
authorization.
are you seeing that the market is closing down slightly, or is it migration to other platforms? Because if we look at some of the hyperscalers, we know that they've just switched some services off. Um, Now they will use some other authentication method, but I think it's completely away from messaging. Are you seeing that in certain areas that people are just saying, "Hey, I'll live with the risks, and I'm going to take this completely out because I can't afford it anymore." Are you seeing that?
I'm seeing that some enterprises are switching off the authorization in countries where the cost is high. And it doesn't matter of what kind of authorization. They can switch off SMS, they can switch off voice authorization, and they will move the traffic to even to email, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of enterprises did it. They moved to the authorization to this old solution, old and working solution for anyone. If
Yeah.
you are using an application, obviously you have an email in your hand and you can check the code to, to get in.
I mean, one of the things I've experienced recently, and I would say it's probably only in the last 6 months. So if I go to log on to a SaaS platform and they're 9 times out of 10, they're authenticated, right? They want some kind of multi-factor authentication. What I'm now seeing is a shift now, as you've said, I'm seeing that email seems to be more the primary channel. And if that doesn't work, they're offering other options for me as a user to receive a message, a one-time password, whatever, on another channel. And the interesting one that I'm seeing at the moment is it starts with email. I can't receive the email. It hits spam. It's not delivered or it's not delivered in time. Then I select an SMS. If that's not delivered, then I receive a voice call with a voice OTP. So it's almost like this multi-channel effect is really starting to kick in now.
I saw such cases, but it depends on the enterprise. It depends on the application. If they separate SMS and voice authorization, they will send two different requests, so two different calls to the end user. Yeah, but and it doesn't matter if you don't receive the SMS. The second attempt could be sent via voice, or vice versa. The first one could be sent via voice, and the enterprise will tell you as an end user that you have to hear the code on the code. If you know what to do, you will press the code into the app.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've actually there's a number of questions, but I think we've kind of covered them all there in that last sort of 5, 10 minutes of conversations. Um, Unless there's any other questions, I would just say, Oksana, is there any sort of final words that you would have for those listening?
Um, I would like to tell that the traffic migration will grow. A2P is not the main channel for the SMS traffic. There are a lot of alternatives, and we should to adapt to the market. I'm talking about telcos, the telecom industry. Enterprises know that they have these alternatives. If they will not use the telco services, they will find something else. They will find another types of authorization. They will switch them off, and we will be the losers here. And we should to adapt and work in synergy, being the bridge between mobile operators, enterprises, and connect these worlds in one.
Right. So, I mean, what's clear is that the market is changing. The SMS market is shrinking. From what we can see, there's certainly the growth is shrinking. So, I think what we've identified today is a large part of that is to do with two reasons. One is pricing, and the other is around kind of fraud issues, be that AIT, smishing, etc. Um, so I would just say, for those listening, if you want to understand how to tackle that, how to deal with this, then obviously please reach out to LANCK Telecom, who can give you some offer some advice, some support around that, and potential alternative solutions. So I think we'll probably close there. Thank you ever so much, Oksana, and the team behind the scenes for making today happen. I thought it was a really, really good presentation and a really, really good discussion today. So thank you very much,
Thank
and
you, Nick.
we'll see you again soon. Thanks everybody for listening. Take care.
Thank you.